Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast where we discuss news and stuff about gaming. I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer.
My name is Kev, and I charge banshees.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's not Kev the Gamer anymore, guys. He's Banshee Charger. Sorry.
I charge banshees.
Correction, Banshee Charger. Got to remember that.
No, I'm just saying because I charge banshees.
Because he charges banshees and then dies right afterwards, and then we teabag him. That's literally the way that the cycle goes over and over again. We also have Death Shadow 9 here.
Well, I can do some good banshee charging.
Oh yeah. We also have Death Shadow 9 here, who has not drowned.
I have not drowned.
He survived Irma. He knows how to float.
He all floats down here. that is Florida's new motto. We all float down here.
Meta.
I also want to make it apparent my PS4 in the background. I do this to trigger Morty.
No, the best part, it's not the PS4. It's the Destiny 2.
Oh yeah, the Destiny 2 too. I've been playing the hell out of Destiny 2.
Yeah. Oh, hey Rogue, what's up, man?
What up, Rogue?
Rogue coming in here to peep on things. So in any case, Kev, have you been playing a lot of that Destiny 2 life?
I have. I'm level 217 now, power level.
That is
last week.
I don't know what this means. I'm not aware.
Is
that good?
It's completely arbitrary, and it means absolutely nothing.
Is it no life status?
Yeah. No. That's not no life status. Hitting the 300 club, that's no life status.
Oh, okay.
No, that's basically just getting the right gear. I'll probably be there in a week. Well, I got to 212 in less than a week, or 215 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why I couldn't do that.
I don't know why I know all of this lingo, and I don't own the game, and I played the demo, and that was it. But somehow that means that I know.
Yeah, the demo I think doesn't really do the full game justice. Like,
so it shows
you what like the base Destiny experience is like. Like, okay, this is the Crucible, and this is what you'll do in the Crucible. Yes, This is PvE, but they let you play story mode, and story mode was insanely easy. It was too easy. In fact, it was basically a participation trophy. But then when you start doing the strikes, the raid I hear is really hard. I'm not high enough level to do the raid yet. And then PV and Crucible can be competitive, fairly competitive. Even on quick play, it's competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it can be. No, it's not. It's a vertical slice.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Destiny 1, like Destiny 1 was too with the demo. There's a lot of people probably have the same kind of complaints. But Destiny 1, especially the story mode, just never got better. The story's actually decent.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the campaign. I just thought it was too easy.
Honestly,
and the boss fight was anticlimactic.
The campaign was probably about the only thing that I found entertaining, just because Cade 6.
Oh, Cade is hilarious. Actually, I'm loving the Crucible.
I'd love to I'd love to hear your guys or at least Kev's. I know Kev's already a Destiny fan, whereas I'm less of a Destiny fan. But I'd love to hear his honest comparisons between the two games, like what is improved. I would like to see less of them just improving on what they had, and instead including what they lacked with Destiny 2. And I'd like to hear how much of that potentially happened.
I think the big part about it was they got rid of a lot of the restrictions on the last one because it was held back by the 360 and PS3. And you could really tell the world is bigger. There's more going on in the world. They refined a lot of stuff, a lot of quality of life changes.
Okay.
I wasn't hardcore about the first Destiny.
Honestly, I kind of feel like Angry Joe said it very well. It was essentially a
reboot.
A reboot, Destiny 1 done right. Because obviously it had a story at launch.
Oh, it does? That was my biggest Destiny gripe was you advertise this nice, large, interesting, universe, and then you give us nothing. It
is.
Yeah, there's a bit more explaining of the universe in this game, but even then, it's a lot about just the fight for the tower back. In the demo, You lose the tower, which is like the main hub, and you spend the whole game basically getting it back,
My
You know,
getting your abilities back and all that
the
good
it's
main
shit.
such a. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say the major issue is that the story pacing doesn't really feel weighted enough though, even in that, because
Right.
it's like the intro scene, which is what I got to with the demo. At the end of it, you actually lose your light. You lose the power that makes you a guardian, which is like, damn. Oh, and then you get it right back
You
pretty
you
much
know,
minutes
you don't
later.
lose it for very long.
Yeah,
You're literally
you
without it for like 30 minutes.
yeah, and it's like, well, that felt anticlimactic.
Yeah. No.
What's the
I.
point of me
Well,
losing my
yeah,
light if I get it
exactly.
right back?
And what it is the idea is you're supposed to go back and find your light, and you
Yeah.
have to go back and basically rebuild your character, and you end up with basically the same powers and subclasses you had from the first
Man,
game.
I tell you what a wasted opportunity that is, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Like you could,
Yeah,
if somebody with more writing prowess could actually do like a nuanced storytelling, right? You throw in some like
Mhm.
religious aspects. You make a pilgrimage to gain back your light. Come on now, come
I'll
on,
put it to you this
low
way.
effort, low effort.
I believe the story is on. It's better than Andromeda's story, which doesn't say a
That
lot.
doesn't say anything at all.
You know,
Exactly. It's not. But it's somewhere probably leaning closer to between Inquisition and Andromeda.
hmm
A little closer, in my opinion, to Inquisition. Of course, it doesn't have the depth to it that Inquisition has,
Well,
which says
so you're
modern depth, which isn't much depth at all.
well. So here's the thing, though, is that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. I kind of like what Rogue
I'm
was
talking about
saying is
quality. I'm
that
talking about in terms of quality writing.
yeah, like I like what Rogue's saying is that it could get repetitive after so many hours, and that's the same thing with a lot of those games is that whenever they have kind of the padded content in there, which for
Hmm.
Destiny, by the way, I think that's part of kind of the Destiny experience. It's a sci-fi version of Diablo at its core. You're meant
Hmm.
to run through missions, grind, get the loot, grind again. That's kind of
Hmm.
the core gameplay loop. It's just like
Other games like
Diablo.
that.
You know.
Diablo's like that. Borderlands,
Yep.
The Division.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
Well, so
Even to a point, Mass Effect 3. Though I think this game does it better than Mass Effect multiplayer does it.
we're gonna talk about the difference on the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer and Andromeda and all those other
You
tacked on multiplayers with their RNG loot boxes. Oh my god, are we
Mhm.
gonna have fun with that?
you
Um,
know,
go ahead.
uh, like given oh man, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. um. Okay, yeah. So maybe I'm perhaps being a little bit too hard on the developers for Destiny, in that storytelling with that form of gameplay has been notoriously difficult to actually make work, right? The first Borderlands struggled with it. Diablo doesn't really have a huge, expansive story. Like they have lore, but like it's not exactly, extremely nuanced. Um, Even Torchlight wasn't that great. Borderlands 2, I feel like they was decent enough. Like it was okay for story wise, which shows that it's possible. But like the amount of failures within the genre, or not, maybe not so much failures, but like the difficulties in the genre show that yeah, like it's not easy to make work. But at the same time, when you advertise a universe as you do, you gotta
I've always felt Destiny had an interesting universe.
Kev turning this into a fucking eating stream.
Hmm.
I mean,
uh,
I would laugh, but I've done it many times. It's been
Hmm.
pizza stream quite a
So
couple
have I.
times for
yeah,
me.
The problem is half the time I'm not on the camera.
yeah, but no, and so I do think it is something that's difficult in an open world game to try to get the story. I think the biggest thing is actually tonality and pacing. So with
Right.
open world games, whether or not they're MMO or if they're single player open world games, I think a lot of the mistake that gets made is that they go with a traditional RPG type story where you have something that's urgent, like and serious and dire, and by
Mhm.
nature, open world games are not urgent or dire.
I mean,
They're-
they can be, but it's up to the player.
Right.
Well,
I would use the example of Fallout New Vegas,
yeah.
where you really want to get revenge on this guy, and then you want to settle all the shit in the wasteland, the Vegas wasteland. Oh, but there's other shit you can do on the side too.
Yeah.
You want to do it all before you beat the game, because once you beat the game,
It's over.
it's all gone. It's done. It's over. I don't like that about New Vegas.
Yeah, that is one thing the open
That's
world.
actually one of my biggest criticisms of New Vegas. Is that if I want to go and beat the main campaign and then do the other shit in the world, I should be able to.
Yeah, and the thing is that there is a lot of games out there that kind of have that side content funness that don't have I think there's an actual term for that, the kind of like post story gameplay that a lot of games do, but a lot of them are kind of like just cut you and that's it, done, finished. And it's like, what? So yeah, I mean, you could call it end game, but there was a specific term for games, like, for example, and this goes back a ways, but like for Fable, for example, you beat the main quest line of Fable, make whatever your final choice was in the main story, and then you could just wander about, getting the little extra bits in the world or whatever. And it had like, I think it was like just called post story content or whatever. But
something like that. Yeah, I think in game works.
Yeah, and end game is generally more reserved for games that have some kind of endless factor to them, where you're progressing, you're growing, you're getting stronger, and the end game is typically when you've got that highest grade of gear and you're doing the toughest content, right? That's like
and that's
MMOs
kind of where Destiny is. Like, you have the campaign, you have the mid game, which is where I'm at now, where you're just trying to get that high level gear to do the raids, to do Trials of Osiris, Trials of the Night.
And then you do that trial, and then you end up just wanting to shoot yourself in the face because it's so frustrating. I've been watching some streams on that.
Well, maybe, because I mean, Trials is just a sweat fest.
Yeah,
it's PvP. And also Violurk, I tried to put my PSN ID in the chat, but it keeps telling me I'm restricted to English. I don't know if well, it's still your girl wants Kev, because they won't let me change it off the PS4. So it's still your girl wants Kev.
Oh God, that's great. Kev, stop being silly and start speaking English. This is an English only stream. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I think you're being discriminatory. I need you to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
To our Spanish speaking folks out there.
Yeah.
They have feelings and they're important too, and we should value their participation in our stream.
By the way,
Morty's Trump, you heard it here first. Morty's Trump.
Yeah, apparently. So, by the way, Kev, and to lurk if you guys want, there's a text channel in our Discord server that's called Gaming Handles, and in that, I believe Kev has a post in there that literally.
But I only have my PC stuff on there. I didn't bother putting my console stuff on there.
Then edit it and put in your console stuff. Man, this isn't rocket science, guys.
Yes, it is. It's brain surgery. Get it right.
Apparently. So, restrict chat there. Okay, so hopefully that's updated now. I don't know what the heck, how that got turned on. Twitch is racist. You guys all heard it here first. Restricting our region chat. Anyway, so I've been hearing this rumor that our resident mobile gamer, Deathshroud09, has been spending a lot of time playing mobile games because, well, he was in a boat in the middle of the ocean and that was the only thing he could do.
Basically.
I mean, does his house count as a boat?
It does whenever you're in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, we actually, everybody has rafts attached to their house. We've got, like, have you seen pontoon boats? Like, it's basically that, but like house-sized.
I have this great image of every house in Florida mandatory being made with that. Oh gosh. So what are all the mobile games that you've been digging into while you were swimming?
Only the good ones. We don't want shovelware.
Well, that's actually difficult to find in the mobile game segment,
That's why I said
unfortunately.
it.
So I found there's a
Which
lot of
is hard to find on
shovelware.
PC too.
I've become pretty proficient at figuring out whether or not a game is shovelware. I can usually tell within like the first 3 seconds of opening up the game, if it's going to be something that I'm interested or not interested in.
Oh, wait, with it opening the game, you don't just look it up on YouTube before buying it?
Oh, this is free games, not purchase
Oh,
games.
Yeah.
oh,
Uh, but
pirate.
and I ain't got no time. Pirate? What? No, ad-based game.
Arrgh.
Come
Well,
on.
he is in a boat in the middle of the Atlantic near the Caribbean. I'm just saying, it's
Dodging
not
gators.
it's
I
not.
don't. My phone plan's not good enough for that, guys. I would have so many overages. Um, but mostly like going through like just all the mobile like the different genres, little miniature genres of mobile games. You know, you got the gotcha games, JRPG style stuff, the farming simulators. Um, One of the farming simulators kind of caught my eye, and that's what I played through most of the Hurricane. Was I was talking to Morty about it, Eggs Inc., which is basically you have a farm and you raise chickens, and you upgrade the eggs, and your transportation system and the housing of the chickens, and then you basically like prestige your farm and have like better eggs. So I think I got to like I got to like immortality eggs that provide.
So everyone else was struggling to live.
No,
Everyone else was fighting for their life. And you're playing mobile games.
So
Damn
listen.
millennials.
So listen, Kev. You're confusing Texas with Florida. As I was talking to Travis on there, Texas, like, a
Texas is the
moderately
angry cat trying to swim.
a moderately powerful hurricane hits Texas and people are drowning to death. The worst hurricane in history hits Florida and they're just like, this is Sunday. Not really, but I'm pretty certain there was more deaths in Irma than there were.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting game. It definitely, as time went on, the grind got really, really heavy. But at the same time, like you could purchase, obviously there's in-app purchases, but the purchases
Yep.
wouldn't have really provided a significant boost. So it just became a very, very grindy game.
It's interesting that the premium purchases on there didn't skip that much, because that to me seems like a major oversight, right? That's like the whole point of having a freemium experience is that it's pay to skip.
Well, it's funny because the only major purchase that you can make within the game is that you can purchase like silos that allow the game to continue running, allow your farm to continue running when you're not playing it, right? Because you like tap to make chickens, which then make the eggs. It'll automatically do that when you're not in the game.
Yeah.
You can upgrade to 2 silos, which gives you 2 hours of off-screen time, and then the farm stops running, and then you come back, you refill your silos, and you can go away for another 2 hours. You can make a $5 purchase, upgrade to like 10 silos, and you have like 10 hours of off-screen time where your farm will
So you can pay the game to play itself for you.
Exactly.
play itself,
You
yes.
you pay to not play. That is actually in essence the heart of pay to skip, which is a very common microtransaction model that a lot of games do. Like Warframe's a good example. You pay money to not grind for content.
It's funny
Well,
because
every grind
it's not
frame
even
is different though, because Warframe's grind is irritating. At least to me, it is. It's like, hey, I have all these parts, but I have to put them together to build another part. Wait 3 days, and then I can finish building my character.
Yeah, the wait is what kind of gets me. That's very mobile game-esque.
It's funny because it's not even that much of a pay to skip because you still have to wait, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the game continues to run when you're not playing.
Yeah, in Warframe though, at least, and this is part of the. So Warframe, to be fair, they just kind of shotgunned every microtransaction model into one game. Let's be honest. You literally have almost every freaking possible imaginable monetization system in there. They also have the mobile game type, play to wait model, where essentially you, like Kev said, you grind, you get a part, start building it. It takes X amount of time to build it, but you can fast forward it for so much of the premium currency. And that's a very mobile game thing, right? That's your Clash of Clans and all those guys where, you're upgrading
Fallout
your
Shelter.
building. Yep. And
which is kind of funny, and it's kind of and this is going to tie into today's topic too.
Yeah.
Where at what point, we're kind of analyzing loot boxes here. I don't want to see loot boxes necessarily in $60 games that I'm paying for.
Yeah.
If they're free loot boxes in the game that you earn, I don't really care.
We'll get to we'll get to that.
I'm not touching on the mobile part though. But I hate the free to play model, the Warframe model. I didn't like Warframe for other reasons as well.
Yeah.
But I really, really don't like the whole grind for days to get a piece of armor, and then wait more days to actually get it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just buy a season pass and be done with it.
And that's the thing, is that from a perspective, and this is what it's really about, and this is kind of the thing that where I have I have a bit of an issue with Warframe, is, well, first of all, they need to find whatever their most profitable monetization systems are, and cut out the other extraneous ones. Like especially the RNG loot boxes that I'm guarantee you very few people buy. And the people that are buying, we're going to discuss on why that's not good that they're even buying it. But then there's also like ones that are very predatory, in my opinion, like these slots. Not to be confused with casino slots. I mean, as in the Warframe and weapon slots. You start off with 2 Warframe slots, and I think it's like 3 or 4 weapon slots, which the game is all about having this vast variety of weapons and Warframes to utilize as you see fit. Well, when you start off the game, you can have 2 Warframes. In order to build a 3rd Warframe, you have to get rid of one of your others. And it's like, well, that takes out the variety part of it. If you want to play the game completely free, you're going to be super inhibited until you get to the end game, in which case a lot of the extra nonsense stuff that you end up grinding that you don't need anymore, you can sell some of that stuff for the premium currency and then buy stuff that you want. But that's like, you've already spent probably several hundred hours into the game by that point. It's like, that's kind of silly. But the waiting part on there, I think that's a bit silly too. But the approach that they're taking is that, well, you're playing the game to have fun, and you get this item, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna build that, and then you just continue on playing the game, and you're not paying attention to the fact that you really want this gun. Most people playing are goal oriented. They're like, I want to get X rifle today. And then they end up playing the game, getting the blueprint for that rifle. They have all the pieces to put it together, and they start crafting it. And then they have to sit and watch the timer go down. And several people will say, I don't want to wait. And then they'll pay to skip it. And that's kind of the idea. That's the that's the enticement that you have there. Anyway. We've already kind of got into the microtransactions, and that wasn't even meant to go there yet, but we're close enough to it. So to start off, like, because obviously that's its own bag of cats, is how much stuff that Warframe monetizes. The big question first is that I do want to kind of clarify what I mean by loot boxes and what we're going to be talking about on here. Loot boxes very specifically are items that you either purchase directly or are given to you, and then you have to purchase a key to open them, and they have a randomized chance for loot. this is, like I said, this is the name a free-to-play game. Chances are they have this model in there in some capacity.
It's in CS:GO.
Yeah, it's in CS:GO. It's in I'm trying to think of Star Trek Online, for example.
Isn't it in PUBG too?
Probably. Like I said, it's a very popular monetization model, and it essentially is where you pay money to have some form of random chance to get loot. And the kind of what we're going to be discussing today is that specific monetization model. Now, the other ones in Warframe, for example, that I was just mentioning, those are kind of not really where I'm going, because those are while they may be obnoxious, I don't see them as being unethical. They make Kev not want to play the game. And then Kev is like, okay, cool.
There's lots of reasons I don't want to play Warframe. That's just one of them.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly. And to be honest, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's a lot of mobile games that I start up and I'm just like, the gameplay is not fun enough for me to continue playing it, and the monetization model just makes it even worse,
That's how I felt about Simpsons Tap Out. It was really fun at first when you very first start and there's so much shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hit the point where, I'm just checking on shit every 6 hours. I'm not doing anything new because I don't want to buy donuts. Huh?
There's so many games like that you just end up at some point or another just opening up the app just to collect your things and then checking on stuff and then moving on.
Yeah, it's like I got to that point after 2 weeks. I'm like, wait, this is all I'm doing.
So I actually found a game that's not like that. It's
Me too. It's called Destiny 2.
No, a mobile game. It's a free-to-play mobile game. It's kind of like it's like a turn-based like JRPG type deal called Buried Bournes. It's kind of inspired a little bit, it seems like, by Dark Souls and maybe a little bit of like Final Fantasy-ish something. But it's made by I'm pretty sure like a single Japanese dev, and it got like fan translated to the US, and it's actually really, really good. You can just continue playing, and you don't have to go back and check on anything. Yeah, there's premium currency, but with the way things what's the term for it, with the monetization currency exchange, with the way the currency exchange works, it's like astronomically expensive. It's like $80 for like the most expensive, not even going to give you all that much option for the premium currency. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So something I do want to talk on there is, and this is going to tie into a lot of it on there, is that you can't have games that do things right. But one of a red flag that always starts off for me whenever I'm looking at a game is the idea of premium currency, right? The reason why is the same reason why casinos have chips rather than you actually gambling with actual physical money. You use chips of varying monetary value. Why?
Their value that way.
Yeah, why is that? Is because it's all about a trick for your brain. Like, that's why premium currencies never have a directly translatable value to dollars. Like, instead of you buying $1 and getting 1 unit of that premium currency, you spend $1 or $2 and you get 150 or 75. It's some odd number
in the thousands,
and it never balances out, so we have to buy more when you run out.
Well, yeah, but the point is that the value of it, they try to deliberately make it so the value does not translate to real world money, and the reason why, just like chips, is so that it separates your brain's connection to actually spending money. You no longer are worried that you're wasting all of your money on these microtransactions, because it's not actually $100, it's 5,000 platinum or 5,000 gold or whatever. Your brain has separated the real world aspect of it to it's now a kind of a video game currency, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing that casinos do. That's why casinos have chips, is because chips have like they're just plastic chips. They look nice, they're pretty, they feel nice in the hand, and they don't feel like money to you. They feel like casino chips. So that is a first thing I wanted to tackle. That is going to be something that kind of comes into play later, because loot boxes are all about tricking your brain, and that's really what we're that's kind of step one, is premium currency. But before we go on with that, so what are some of the some games that you guys play or enjoy playing that have loot boxes of some fashion in them?
I think the obvious one is Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm. Mass Effect.
Um, but
Overwatch.
Dota 2
yeah.
actually has had loot boxes for skins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So CS:GO. That's Valve loves their loot boxes.
Mm. Although Valve doesn't use premium
Punch.
currency, I don't believe.
No, they don't.
They do direct money, which is a little bit less of that trickery. You actually get to see how much you're spending on
Mm-hmm.
and feel bad about it, like I have.
Uncharted 4 multiplayer has them. I don't know the full extent to them because I've never paid them much attention, but I know they have them. Destiny 2 even kind of has a program like that where you buy silver,
Yep.
but you're not buying the loot box. You're buying silver and getting exotic legendary engram, which then you cash in and it gives you a random legendary item.
Yeah, it's still a loot box. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
loot
what
box
kind
by
of it's not like your traditional loot box, but it's very similar.
it is a, you pay money, and at some point down the line you are getting randomized loot. That's a loot box.
What about the loot boxes where you don't pay money though?
Well, the thing is when I say pay money, so there are games out there where it uses a loot box system, but you cannot pay money for it. And those I think are a bit more fair, but it still does tend to manipulate a lot of the same facets in your mind. It's that's where I get into the less of an ethical question and more of a I guess just a poor design choice, and that's not so bad. Like, yeah, maybe I don't like the way you design your game, but I'm not gonna think that you're a despicable human being. Like, that's where kind of we get out of the realm of it being more factually dangerous and more of just my opinion, right? So obviously, some of the biggest games out nowadays make use of loot boxes. Like, for example, I can't remember if PUBG actually does have loot boxes in it because I haven't played it. I'm not a big
I believe they do. I played it when I played it. They weren't in there, but I think after I got my refund, they added them like a week or two later. I read didn't like PUBG,
but obviously Overwatch it definitely has loot boxes in it. That's pretty much their entire thing. And to be fair, the thing that you get, we're not talking here about pay to win anything. When I say you pay money and get randomized loot, it doesn't necessarily mean that loot actually is like, say, something that actually affects your gameplay. It could be completely cosmetic. The idea is that you're paying money and getting a random result. The equation there, of course, is it's like slot machines. Put a coin into the machine, you pull the lever, and random stuff happens. So, how do you think, for example, let's take Mass Effect, since I think at some point in time we all have experience with Mass Effect 3 or Andromeda and or both. How do you feel that the loot boxes benefited the gameplay?
You just gonna get Jeopardy music for that one, bro.
Huh?
You only getting Jeopardy music for that.
How did they improve the gameplay?
They didn't.
So
they were irritating.
For Mass Effect, you see, the problem with it is, I actually kind of enjoyed the loot box system a little bit in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I feel like it wasn't done perfectly, but I feel like it also extended the gameplay a little bit in a non, like, not too grind. Like the grind was fun, right? Like I enjoyed grinding in that game and getting loot boxes. And the only time it got annoying was whenever the drop rates were too low and I continuously got
Level 4
like
Cryo
consumables.
supply.
ammo.
Yeah, just level 4 cryo ammo.
Yep. We all know about the
See,
level 4
well,
consumables.
you make a good point there. You make a good point there, and I think I'm probably jaded a little too because they fucked it up badly in Andromeda.
Right.
Oh, they messed it up
It
badly.
wasn't fucked up. That was straight. That was straight underhanded
Oh, I didn't say
bullshit.
fucked up like it was a mistake.
Yeah, no.
No, they fucked it up. They
Uh,
destroyed it. They wrecked
did
that
did you
shit.
did you hear whenever I actually did you see what I said whenever I actually broke down the actual content numbers where
No.
Andromeda they have actually released thus far as of right now the content that they have released for Andromeda compared to Mass Effect 3, they have released less than half the amount of actual unique content, but yet have somehow managed to release more than 3 times the amount of actual RNG drops.
Yeah, because they're making it so that way you have to keep re-earning the shit you already earned. How many variants of the Sidewinder do I need?
Well, that's the thing is that it's all about making
Why do I
you
keep having to unlock my Solarian Infiltrator 20 times?
yeah.
Instead of making the grind more fun, they make
Mhm.
the grind longer, which I think
Right,
was
exactly.
in Mass Effect 3, the grind for like you get characters relatively quickly, you got new maps, it made the grind
Mhm.
fun, right? They added
Right,
RNG content, but
and
they
not only
also made
that,
it more fun to get it.
the reason people in Mass Effect 3 liked the grind to get the new stuff is because it was just that you got something new.
Right.
I if you unlock say AIU and then you turn around and unlock the Volus Vanguard, you got two completely new characters that play completely differently. And yeah, you can get a more unlocks, get customization options, get more points to make them stronger, but you're always getting something new. And even if you did only unlock the character cards, it only went to I think it was level 10.
Yeah.
They doubled
No, no,
that in
no, no.
Andromeda.
No, 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 no. No, no. They went to 4. You only
Was it four?
dropped a character 4 times. 4 times in Mass Effect 3, and that was for the 4 unique appearance options because you started
Mm-hmm.
off with the primary and secondary colors, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got 4 additional customization options unlocked for that character.
And see,
So
that wasn't so bad. That
yeah,
I honestly have no problem with that.
they went from
Um,
4 to 20.
mm-hmm, to 20. Then you got to unlock everything 20 times just to get it out of your drop table.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, and it's like you have 4 or 5 variations of different guns. I would have rather just given me a mod for the gun I already have.
So and then with the guns and so the characters they took it from 4 to 20. The guns in Mass Effect 3, you got a gun 10 times and it was gone. In Mass Effect Andromeda, you get a gun to 10, and then you can then get 3 additional variants or augmentations of that gun also 10 times, and then that essentially means that you now have to get that gun 40 times compared to 10. So it's literally four
Right.
times as
It,
much.
it was lazy design.
It,
Lazy design by
it's
definition. When what they really should have done was made those the variations and the mods.
Yeah, and that's where I've literally, and if you look at their actual content release schedule, they've trickled out a character here, a new map there. I think they've released a couple of guns here or there. It's been a very slow process, similar to what they did with Inquisition, except actually we've gotten more content than Inquisition. Arguably,
Well,
Inquisition got nothing.
Andromeda's done with updates, right?
No,
For single player, they're still
single
doing
player
multiplayer updates. I think through in 7 day. I think
because
they're gonna drop it off at the end of the year.
possibly. Well, the thing is when you look at it, when they develop characters, like they have announced that they have planned, I think like 2 more characters, at least 1 more
Three,
gun, 3 more
three in
characters.
October,
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 in October. That's what I'm thinking around in 7 day.
yeah. So the thing is that you have that trickle of characters, and when you think about it, you drop a new character, that's 20 more drops. That's 16 additional drops over a Mass Effect 3 character. Then you have a
Mm.
weapon. A weapon. That's 40 more drops if they release 1 new weapon. And now that's not even counting the fact that they essentially re-released all of the common weapons as higher tier S variants, which is literally just another. I think I added up to be like another 120 drops from all of those combined.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
and you get to, it's really like this game. I think even more than Mass Effect 3 is just a push for microtransactions.
yeah,
I thought Mass Effect 3 where it wasn't the grind was real, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I hate this grind.
until you got
Andromeda felt like a chore.
until
It's
you got to
less.
the end game of the content, like you said, the level 4 ammo, which I honestly wasn't sure if it was deliberate until Andromeda. And the reason why is because there was a bug in Andromeda at launch where if you unlocked all of your rares, not counting any of your other content, you could have your commons and uncommons, none of them maxed out. If you managed to max out your rares before the other stuff below it, you would stop getting common and uncommon drops and would just start getting that level 4 consumable stuff. Nothing but. It like switches you to end game drop mode, where instead of getting ultra rare drops like you did previously, you start getting the level 4 consumables like crazy. And I'm like, so it's actually a deliberate change. Not just a happenstance of the way that the loot system works. No, it's deliberate. It's
Right.
very deliberate that they are put you in that mode. And I'm like, so the way that to play devil's advocate, the way that I think loot boxes improve content is that they allow developers um, to not have to worry about designing specific rewards. Like for example, in Warframe, the randomized drops, while they're not necessarily to me the best done, but for example, if I'm killing this character who has a shield and he has a chance to drop that shield. Okay, that's kind of that feels like a fitting reward for killing that enemy, right? To get that shield. Because he's holding it. Why wouldn't he have a chance to drop it? And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of, when you suspend your disbelief, it makes sense because maybe a lot of the time you break that shield and therefore it's not anything you can recover. But once in a while, you're able to kill him and not destroy the shield. Okay, I can buy into that. I kill a guy, this guy with a big, huge Gatling laser, and he drops a sword. What? So, making fitting drops for characters is hard. It is complex. It requires a lot of kind of intimate looks at the enemy types to make fitting rewards make sense.
This
Right?
makes me think of Fallout, where
Yes.
you kill somebody, you have a female character, you kill this grown man, or even like a super mutant, and you wear their armor. But you're this little ass girl.
Well,
This is big ass 7, 8 foot tall super mutant.
but the thing is to be fair, at least in Fallout, when you kill an enemy, at least for the most part, what gear they have, you can loot. You
For the
want
most
you
part,
want
yeah.
you want super mutant, want to look like a gross ass super mutant, even if you're a little ass girl, you go kill yourself a super mutant. You want to look like a raider, you want that really post apocalyptic Mad Max looking raider power armor, then you got to
Can I
go
just have the
find
car?
a huh.
Can I just have the car?
That was
I
actually a great game from what I understand. But so
didn't like it.
that's the thing is that because coming up with fitting rewards for doing certain actions is difficult. It does require a very fine tooth degree of understanding. I love that Travis, by the way, has been like frozen for a while now.
Am I?
Yeah, you're just like staring at the camera blankly. Oh,
And there goes Travis.
he just restarted his camera. And he's not frozen anymore, which is nice. But yeah, so
Just like blankly, just.
He's still frozen on my
just
tablet.
just keep staring blankly at the camera. Um, but yeah, no, like so I think that it can improve content because it allows developers to have a progression system that they don't have to think about. They just throw everything into a bucket, and then they can just focus on developing content. I will say that's a shitty excuse.
It could also just encourage lazy development because having, you can say that it's a hindrance, but having really nicely laid out loot that matches the enemies also adds a bit of immersiveness to a game, right?
Yes, it does. And that's the main thing is that a game where you take, for example, like I said, like in Elder Scrolls, which they have their own problems, to be fair. I don't necessarily think that they're the best games out there, but as a fair kind of example, Kev, I actually... Bethesda's on my shit list because of the Creation Club, Kev, so you don't need to nod and smile.
I was playing Elder Scrolls Online. It doesn't have Creation Club yet.
Yeah, but Bethesda in general as a publisher is on my shit list because of paid mods.
As long as they don't fuck up Wolfenstein. Don't fuck up Wolfenstein, we'll be good.
Don't worry, it'll have microtransactions in it.
Do I have to pay them? Are they like... Because some microtransactions don't bother me. I don't have a problem with Destiny's.
They'll be
because I didn't realize they were there till yesterday.
Hey guys, no, listen. The microtransactions are peddled by the Nazis. That's how it's gonna work.
You know the bad microtransactions right now? Shadow of War.
Oh no!
I went from complete hype and excitement for the sequel to Shadow of Mordor to seeing the microtransaction model. Now I'm not even sure if I'm gonna buy the damn game. I was excited to play it.
I will not touch that game, and it's not just the microtransactions in it. That was fuckery enough. But profiteering after the death of their executive producer, that shit just fucking killed that.
Oh, no. All that means to me is that I'm getting it on G2A.
I wouldn't even get it on G2A. I'm just saying.
I like G2A to stick it to developers now. Oh, you're being a dick about it? I still kind of want to play your game. G2A.
Well, at that point,
old Call of Duty, you still want $40 for Black Ops 2? G2A.
Yeah. Well, like I said though, like my thing is that I just that game just disgusts me because of the whole like you're charging $5 for this DLC character that's made in honor of the executive producer, and it only actually like benefit like and they claim it's for charity, like they're doing it to benefit his family, whom I'm sure
aren't they only getting like 25%?
Well, no. So first of all, no, they get most of it. It's $3.50 of the $5 charge. So they get most of it. I have difficulty believing that $1.50 needs to go into transactional processing. That's because my experience is that it usually, whenever you do a high enough volume of sales like WB Interactive does, that they pay pennies on the dollar for transactional fees. So
Warner brother.
$1.50 off the top seems a little excessive, but whatever. So $1.50 off the top. That's not the kicker though. The kicker is that $3.50 only goes to the family only if you are purchasing it within certain 46 states in the U.S. So you have like it's 4 states in the U.S. plus everywhere else in the world. If you buy that DLC character, guess what? WB gets the whole figure. None of it goes on there. And the reason why those 4 states
legal reasons
is well, it's because that you're not allowed to profit off of charity items in those 4 states, or if you do,
you're not allowed to, or you shouldn't be.
You are either not allowed.
It's a whole different can of worms, bro.
No. You either are not allowed legally, or you have to file some disclaimer claiming that you are profiting off of it. And that's the key: is that they don't want to register.
Tell people, hey, we're making money.
Yeah, it's kind of
like tell the IRS.
It is a frankly a deplorable act, and that's straight. On top of the fact that they're already putting in really aggressive microtransactions into the game. I'm done. WB can go fuck themselves. But aside from that,
see, I was there at Arkham Knight. I didn't realize they did the original Shadow of Mordor.
Haven't we been at that point, for a while?
I didn't realize. Actually, even Arkham Origins, where they said, "Oh, we're not fixing the game anymore. We're making DLC."
if we're honest with ourselves, they still fucked up with Shadow of Mordor. Like the game was good, yeah, but like,
Oh yeah, but they wouldn't. They tried to pull that shit Bethesda's pulling now. Nobody
yeah.
gets to review the game, and
yeah.
then the game turned out to be amazing.
Well, and the thing is that I did not buy Arkham Origins. I did not buy Arkham Knight. I did buy Shadow of Mordor. And I did buy Arkham City. And that's probably gonna be the last WB game I ever buy. Sorry guys, you done fucked up. So
See, and it's sad too because actually I think like I didn't bump into any technical issue with Arkham Origins, so I don't know. I can't say anything about it. I played all the Arkham games. One of my favorite series.
mhm.
I actually love all the games. Arkham Knight is mostly fixed now. There's still some issues, but those mostly are involved with NVIDIA GameWorks,
Yeah.
which can just destroy some games. But I actually really like all four of them.
Yeah.
And it's sad that they have the publisher that they have. Rocksteady is a fantastic developer.
Fantastic
But
publisher that's run no, Rocksteady's a fantastic developer
good
that is
developer
run
ran by a
one
shitty publisher.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, let's be honest, that's AAA development summed up. You have some amazing developers under the thumbs of some of the most corrupt and greedy sons of bitchin' publishers out there. And there is literally no fucking reason for publishers to even exist.
Um, I don't know.
No. I mean,
you
like,
gotta think about the money aspect of it because they still put up a lot of money in marketing.
oh no, the thing is that they definitely have a job and they do that job. But I'm saying, are they really necessary? I mean, if you look at a lot of publishers like Witcher, they're their own publisher. Digital Extremes, they are their own publisher. You know, like they publish their game, they did it all themselves, and they are making tons of money off of those off of
I'm trying
publishing
to
their
think,
own
what
stuff.
game did Digital Extremes make? I can't think of who they are.
Warframe.
Oh.
I mean, like
You
think about
like it or not, it's still a very popular game.
No, that's why I couldn't think of it because I was thinking it was a game that I knew more about, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, you get those, but for every like we'll say transistor that you get out there, for every bastion you get out there, there are just these massive indie games. You get a bunch of indie games that nobody talks about or has ever heard of. Just kind of random shit. Like I've been playing Chroma Squad, which
Mhm.
I had never heard of until recently. I don't know if anybody really knows about the game. It's cool. It's turn-based RPG. Well, I don't even want to call it RPG, but it's supposed to be like a turn-based RPG based on the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You make your own Power Ranger squad, and you fight through the adventure. You're essentially like making a Power Rangers kind of type TV show, and then it turns into in the game world real life, and you fight through it. Like as you're actually being invaded, and that's a cool game. It's a cool indie game. I enjoyed it. I paid $11 for it, and
So-
never heard of the developer again. Didn't hear of him before the game.
Hmm.
How many cases do you find like that? I think probably a lot.
What were you gonna say, Travis?
I just wanted to go down the path of like what exactly is a publisher, right? Like they provide money for the development of a game, and
Marketing.
they generate and marketing, right? So publishers are like combo investment / advertising firms, which to me sounds like the worst thing.
What they do is they essentially, what a publisher does is they bankroll a game, and then they essentially act as the customer interface for that game. So the developers then are allowed to focus, ideally, in a perfect world, that would allow the developers to just focus on developing the best game they possibly can and allow all the other extraneous shit to be handled by somebody who is expert at that. The downside is that AAA publishers are big corporations. Corporations, like them or hate them,
Or greedy.
they're amoral and emotionless machines that are designed to generate profit. That's not necessarily bad. It's neutral, amoral. It's not good or evil. There is no emotion, there's no love, there's no hate. They are just machines. They're robots, if you will, metaphysical robots that are just designed to generate profit. When you have a corporation bankrolling your game, it is in that corporation's best interest to try to make that game as profitable as possible. They can start off with good advertising. Yes, that's a good step. But they inevitably will also want to have features that will mathematically improve the profitability of that game. That includes open world, that includes RNG loot boxes, that includes, DLC out the ass, that all that shit is just mathematically a corporation mathematically and emotionlessly determining that these are factors that will increase the profitability of a game. That's all it is. And that's kind
And I wonder because of that too, how many of these publishers are trying to tell developers this is how you're going to make this game. Like this is the kind of game you're going to make.
Well, I mean,
we're putting the money up for it.
It's usually more of a kind of a suggestion on there, like, oh, okay, here's your idea, cool. So what's your monetization?
Yeah, we know how suggestions work in business.
Oh no,
it's a suggestion, but I'm telling you to do it.
Yes, but no, it's more of along the lines of a developer, say for example BioWare, because they're a good option on there, right? BioWare wants to make a game. They come to EA and say, here's our proposal for this game. And they will outline every aspect of that game from a business standpoint. Here's our budget estimations, here's our development timeline, here's like literally all the business stuff that nobody cares about that plays video games. And of course, one of the big things that they will have to answer is profitability projections. And that's something that maybe EA will work with them on because that's EA's expertise. And in doing so, they may say, we're not very comfortable bankrolling this game because the return on it, the ROI is just too low. So unless you put in microtransactions, we can't unfortunately guarantee the budget for this. So then,
which is why RPGs are probably dying right now because you're not seeing it because
AAA
right
RPGs
now the big thing is
dying.
Action games and shooters. That might be why Bethesda's dumbed down, Fallout and Skyrim. So, well, they're their own publisher.
Yeah.
So
No.
But BioWare's another great example with EA. EA's been pushing for action games the last 2 console cycles.
But Bethesda is a good example, though, and Bethesda is not both the game developer and the publisher. The developer and the publisher share a name. You have Bethesda Game Studios and Bethesda Softworks. They are 2 distinctly different entities that just so happen to share the first part of their name.
So they're not. I think it was that's not they were owned by the same family.
So it is. So because Bethesda, and this is like whenever people talk about like Bethesda doing shady shit now, I'm like, listen, no, they've been shady for decades. Bethesda Softworks is really the backbone of the whole organization. They have a shell company called ZeniMax Media Group, which is essentially, it's like Alphabet to Google, right? Alphabet owns Google in the most flimsy way possible. We all know that it's Google that's what runs the group. Alphabet's just a legal shell company. It's just to kind of add protection to them. But so in any case, Bethesda Softworks is the publisher. They publish everything from Arcane Studios to Bethesda Game Studios to ZeniMax Online. All of those guys are under the umbrella of Bethesda Softworks. Bethesda Game Studio is a studio that makes the games, right? And that's unfortunately there is a lot of confusion to that. Bethesda Game Studios isn't necessarily bad at developing games.
No.
They are just so, unfortunately, because they are the direct descendant of Bethesda Softworks, they really don't have any say-so for themselves. Like, it's kind of like EA Sports, right? EA Sports has no distinctive identity outside of EA. It is EA Sports. So it's pretty much run by the execs at EA, which is why EA sports games have never fucking changed in the past 10 years. It's the same game every damn year with maybe a little extra thing. It's because they're
well, it's sad too because everybody's saying that NBA Live, this is like the best year of NBA Live has had in about a decade. And nobody's going to buy it because it has a bad reputation.
Yeah, well, so does Madden, so does FIFA. But the thing is that FIFA is one of the most profitable sports franchises in the world because it's like one of the few true like soccer experiences and has been for years. But if you look at FIFA 2008 versus FIFA 2016, they're that same damn game. Like there's practically nothing fucking different. They've added a couple of features. It's because it's developed by a corporation. It's developed by financial analysts, not creative minds. It's by the numbers. You know, it's like Call of Duty, same thing. At Call of Duty might as well be developed by by Activision, and that's the thing. Yeah.
I think sports games have like one of the strangest like demographics for me personally. Like people I can't even like can't really even connect to as a gamer that plays sports games.
And I'm saying this as somebody who's been a long time sports game player.
Like there's a lot of people that they only play sports games. That's all they play. And I try to talk to them about
the PS2 era.
I tried to talk to them about
Madden and 2K and a couple action games.
Yeah, they don't really have any interest.
By the way, one of the biggest additions to sports games, of course, has been microtransactions.
Oh, 2K's had them for years.
No, I'm saying like I'm talking about over the last decade.
The hell out of those things. Like you don't even want to play the creative player NBA 2K online if you're not buying microtransactions. It's not even worth it.
I know.
They completely ruin the game because people will drop like their whole check on that shit. But anyway. Travis, to your point, don't think of sports gamers as necessarily your traditional gamer. They came in for different reasons. Where people came to say like a traditional games were like, oh, I'm interested in this kind of game. I like this kind of game. I'm going to use Mass Effect, for example. I was in awe of the world. I was in awe of the premise of the game. That's what drew me into Mass Effect. Whereas a lot of sports players, for example, I love football. Well, I don't love football, but I'm saying as somebody who loves football, they're going to go buy Madden because they want to play their favorite team with their favorite players, and they want to live that power fantasy of being in the NFL, of being that NFL player. That's why things like my career and my player are so popular in these games, because they want to fulfill that fantasy of being that player. Yeah. And these games give them that fantasy. It's something completely different than somebody else is playing these other games, which they probably don't have interest in because they don't have interest in most games. They just have interest in, or even like a car guy. This is why they bring Porsches out when they announce the new Forza, because these games are for car guys who are like, man, I can never afford a Porsche 911, but I can play it in Forza.
That was a painful excuse for a paid car ad. When they fucking brought out this is the new 2017 Porsche Carrera.
That's what these games appeal to. They appeal to those kind of hardcore audiences.
It's strange because I've also been in the car. I've been in the car fan base, and I find it them even much more closer to like the usual gamer crowd than sports games. I don't find that the crossover exists.
You gotta think of the mentality, and this is gonna come back around to our main topic on here. You gotta think of the mentality of the gamer that's playing those games. So the mentality of a sports gamer is usually a sports fan who's a sports fan that wants to be more in the actual action,
right?
Exactly. They want to, like, there's somebody who maybe they played sports as a kid or as a young adult, or they've always wanted to and just never have had the physical conditioning or whatever. They want to live vicariously through that. Yeah, like they want to live vicariously in that role, and video games are even superior to actually watching the sport. That's why sports fans get so intense into the sports, because they want to be that person that's shooting that winning basket, right? Or that's scoring that winning goal.
Like, I just want to be LeBron, okay?
That's really frustrating for me, because I feel like that allows them to be taken advantage of as they are.
Absolutely.
In that company's
but it's not, because it's what they want to do. They know, and this is me when I said, for a point in time, I only played Madden and 2K. And what it was is I knew I was buying a new 2K every year. I was ready for it. I was up for it. I knew what I was buying myself into, and I
So
was okay with it.
so
So
here's
you were aware that you were like you basically buying a low effort turned out product that
Depending on the year. Yes,
so
sometimes some years are better than others, some years are worse than others.
so here's the thing.
2K in particular is really good at refining the game every year. They usually add a bunch of new modes, a bunch of new stuff. They do a lot of quality of life improvements, of course. But people are like, oh, it's just a new roster update. It's usually a lot more than that.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, is that they very much are manipulating their fan base. There's no doubt about it. And this is the heart of marketing. By the way, it's not necessarily bad to manipulate your audience. People just need to be aware that the heart of marketing is to understand intimately your target demographic, who you're selling to. You need to understand their motivations, their mentality, how they will respond to certain stimuli.
That goes beyond marketing. That's putting out anything else. We could say this podcast. We have to understand our audience.
Well, yeah, and that's that's what I'm saying. Marketing as a general thing, marketing. If you are a business or you're creating something or you're doing something, you need to understand the impact that it has, who it's affecting, and how to best maximize that impact, right? That's the heart of it. And hell, that's just me wanting to talk to somebody. I have to understand who I'm talking to in order to frame my words so that they can best understand them. So those words have the greatest impact on the person I'm talking to. This is a basis of communication here. That's why I said it's not necessarily bad.
So basically, this is why they're marketing the Xbox One X as having teraflops as we're not talking about CUDA cores. We're not talking necessarily about clock speeds. We're talking about teraflops because that's the only thing the console players understand.
Well, they don't even understand that. See, the thing is,
oh yeah, if they did, they'd understand that teraflops are bullshit.
What that is that's an advertisement to making things sound impressive. That's an advertisement to making it sound cool. Like teraflops sounds cool. You know, if I say gigahertz, right, that doesn't sound as cool as teraflops.
But it probably is a better determination of how fast the actual console is.
It's
better than teraflops, I would think. Teraflops don't really say shit.
The thing is that making things sound impressive. It's the same way that AMD and Nvidia do their thing where they mysteriously benchmarks keep leaking before their products are released. Yeah, we know that that's not a leak at all. It's deliberate, but that aside, they're always framing things to make that look most impressive, right? And the teraflops numbers for those consoles look the most impressive. The key on here, though, is that you understand your target demographic. You understand how they'll respond to certain stimuli. So you market and you build to that stimuli, right? Which is why it is manipulation. Manipulation is not necessarily negative. Unfortunately, it has kind of a negative connotation inherently. But manipulation just means you're moving something. You're manually kind of pushing it to some direction or another, right? I move my finger. That's manipulating my finger, right?
Now you're making it sound like dating. Women get their hair done, makeup done, nails done, and all that shit. Get some nice clothes, keep themselves looking right because they want to market themselves to men. I should say market themselves to prostitutes. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm trying to say so they can attract men because they know that's what men like. They might not necessarily give a shit about it.
Okay, and you're telling me that a guy in the gym trying to make himself get that nice six pack, get ripped and get toned, you know. And
I'm agreeing with you. I agree with you.
It's the same thing.
I was using women as an example.
Yeah, no, it's gender neutral in there. Both genders will try to when they're single. And this is why oftentimes, usually, when you see a guy or a girl who's in a relationship, they tend to kind of let themselves go a bit because they're not on the market. They don't need to have their card nice and polished to look clean for the market. They've already they're already sold. Yeah. So in any case, I was trying to back out of that because that made it sound really bad.
Yeah, but my point is the same kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
Where how did my uncle used to tell me this when I was a kid? You're not selling yourself to this woman when you're trying after you're with her. You're selling your representative so that you can get her.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, though, and this is that manipulation is at a core of kind of a concern of loot boxes, bringing it back to our topic. And that's kind of where I'm going on this one. So with loot boxes, the concern here is that understanding your audience so intimately and trying to frame loot boxes as a way for them to maximize profit, because again, corporations are just there to maximize profit. They do that by understanding intimately their target demographic, and then they essentially find the pressure point, they find the chink in the armor, and they focus on that, right? So with loot boxes, they manipulate two functions of a human brain, right? So they understand the reward stimuli in the brain when you, like, say, get a you open up an Overwatch pack, right? And you see the coins flying up, and you see that gold coin flying up, right?
Me skin.
You're getting excited, right? You're like, oh shit, there's a legendary, right? That reward stimulus is just going crazy in your brain. And then it comes down and it's a voice line, or it's a duplicate.
And this is why Call of Duty loot crates will always be make people happy too. Ooh, I got a pay to win gun, pay to win.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though, is it's manipulating two fallacies in human thinking. The first one is the gambler's fallacy, which is it's based off of a reward system. Gambler's fallacy essentially is that the statistical probability of one event will then affect the statistical probability of a completely different event. For example, I am playing the roulette table. The fact that I've lost $1,000 on the roulette table means that, my luck has been run low, but it's about to change, right? This next roll, I'm about to win big because I've lost so many times before.
And then you mess around and lose $3 more grand.
Yeah, the thing is that the truth of the matter is that no, or I buy a Mega Millions lottery ticket, right, and I lose today. Well, that means tomorrow I have a better chance of winning. No, you have the exact same chances of winning. Like the odds of you winning the Mega Millions has not changed from one day to the next. That's still the same. That's why I'm glad
I don't gamble.
Yeah, well, but that's the gambler's fallacy, right? Is that they believe that not winning once or not getting what they want, in this case, like you see that gold coin fly up and then it's not the skin you wanted, that means that you're more than likely to get that skin the next pack you open up, right? Even though you can get duplicates in that game, so there's literally zero difference in the chances of you getting that skin. The second fallacy in the brain that those loot boxes manipulate is called the sunk cost fallacy. And that's essentially going with the gambling thing. I've lost $1,000 on this roulette table. That means that if I were to back away from this table now, that all that money would be wasted. So I have to make sure that I take advantage of that. I have to keep playing until I win, so that way the money that I've lost wasn't wasted. That's the sunk cost fallacy, which, like, say, for example, in Warframe, going back to that one, where that plays off of it is that you've spent, for me, 1,200 hours farming all of this stuff, right? All this stuff. You would feel like it would be a waste, right? If you were to back away from the game right now, all that stuff that you spent all that time grinding for, it was wasted. What? It wasn't wasted. You enjoyed it. You had fun with it. You've gotten your value out of it. But that's where those manipulate, right? So those loot boxes manipulate two kind of fundamental things that people have. They want that nostalgia. They establish an emotional connection to things they spend a lot of time around. And then they also love the feeling of a reward. And so it kind of manipulates on both those things.
Hey, you just also uncovered why fanboys exist.
Mm-hmm.
They spend so much time hugging whatever they fanboy over that they can't see it being anything but perfect.
Yeah. And that's a lot of times why people defend loot boxes in Overwatch. That's just cosmetic.
I love you, Ponybox. I love you so much.
But I don't know if no. I was looking at Travis to make sure he wasn't frozen. He's staring at the camera again. So, Travis, what are your thoughts
Travis
here?
is staring blankly because he doesn't have a pony box.
No, he's staring blankly because I think he's fallen asleep, which is why Travis needs to give us his thoughts on the concerns of loot boxes.
The concerns of loot boxes.
Like,
I have a feeling you've pretty much like said
he,
all that I would say.
he's like, I fell asleep for most of it, so I don't know.
I basically did, yeah.
At least you're honest
See,
about it.
get a PS4;
Like,
it'll keep you awake.
with loot boxes,
It'll
like
keep
I
you
said
busy.
previously, they can be a way to I use the term artificially extend the life of your gameplay, which could be, a bad thing, but it could also be a good thing if done properly, right? I don't think I would have played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer as long as I did and had quite as much fun if they had a regular old drop system, you know, um, rather than the one that they had in there. Just the whole like loot box thing and endless grinding. Um, it was the whole thing worked. It was kind of a fluke, in my opinion, but it mostly worked until you got to ultra rares. Um,
hmm The problem with it is then they doubled down on it in Andromeda and broke the
right.
whole concept.
So I don't think loot boxes can be like entirely bad. They're probably bad from just a base psychological standpoint, but they can be used and be they can be useful, but also not be too egregious. Is the word I'm trying to find.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I guess the big thing on there is that they can be non-egregious, but the fact that they fundamentally work off of manipulation of
Right.
people's innate tendency for gambling addiction, that's where I guess have a problem, which is kind of where I guess we could touch on the difference between legal and ethical.
Well,
Uh,
you say that people's gambling, like the loot boxes, do play off of that, but for the most part, like random drops in general can also play off of that. It's just whenever you
it's
introduce
very true. Money.
current, you just introduce, yeah, money, the
Mhm.
introduction of money and the ability for people to ruin themselves comes into play.
That's and
Mhm.
that's the key. That's where we get ethical, legal versus just normal game development. Like a random drop, like Diablo,
Mhm.
right? Diablo, you're grinding, you get random loot, cool. Or the actual original Destiny model. You grind and you get loot. There was, as far as I remember, no microtransactions in Destiny 1. And
Mhm.
so
There
it's
were. They put them in it. They put them in at the end,
okay. Well,
but it
fuck
was
Destiny.
only for emotes, so nobody
You know,
cared.
you
Oh,
know,
okay.
going to your buddy's house and having a fun game of poker, you know, is perfectly fine. Um, until you end up,
I do I tend to
until you end up losing your retirement to that loan shark.
well, the thing
Well, I think,
is
and also when we touched on legal versus ethical, I think that might be a tough one to kind of add here too,
yeah,
because there are a lot of things that are legal that might not be ethical, and vice versa.
and that's the thing.
Like one of the big ones that I think are my favorites, at least around here. They legalized marijuana.
Right.
So for years, it was considered illegal. I don't think it's unethical to smoke marijuana. It's just it was illegal.
And the
Like, if
thing
that's
is
what
is
you want
that
to do, go for it.
and a lot of people conflate the two, right? So here's the
hmm
first thing. Yeah,
A lot
like
of people think because it's illegal that it is unethical, and that's not true at all. If they legalize prostitution, I still don't think it's ethical to go bang prostitutes.
yeah, well, and that is especially, and the thing is, I usually sum up ethical as in a business light, right? So smoking marijuana, say, I want to smoke marijuana at work, right? Is that ethical?
hmm
Depends. If is
Depends
my
on where you're
job
at and how they feel about it.
is my job like just sitting there focusing on like am I, for example, am I a YouTuber and I'm living off of my YouTube pension and I'm smoking marijuana in my office where I make videos? That's not ethical.
Who
That's
cares?
completely ethical. However, am I a doctor about to do surgery on a patient and I'm hitting a bong before I do that? the ethics become a little bit different there. So
I don't want that, doctor.
but yeah, exactly. So the thing is that and whether or not it's legal, that's completely divorced from it. Now, here's the thing: with RNG loot boxes, as well as several other types of similar types of online randomized thing, it has been clearly defined. And trust me, if EA and all the other big publishers aren't lobbying this shit for this to stay out of the conversation, right now, legal gambling, right, or gambling as legally defined is where you pay real money and you get some kind of monetary return or have a chance for something of monetary value or material value as a return. So, for
Well,
example,
hold on, but that would also be like a service. I can go and buy a cheeseburger, and that's monetary return. Is there no randomness to it?
no. I'm saying like you're paying money for a chance of something of
Okay,
material value,
I didn't hear the
right?
word chance.
Sorry,
Okay.
I might have skipped that, but yeah, that's obviously chance has to be in there, and they're meant to be games of obviously entertainment. This is where kind of like the whole CS:GO Lotto kind of stumbled into the realm of real gambling because CS:GO
Which they got off,
skins,
by the way.
huh?
They got off, by the way.
Oh, I know. I trust me. I've kept up on that. That was some bullshit. And the thing is that CS:GO Lotto, CS:GO skins, the key on there. This is where the legal definition kind of is outdated and needs to be refreshed. The way that they set them is even though I can trade a skin, a CS:GO skin, to someone and get what looks like money value, right? I can get $1,000 in my Steam account for this CS:GO skin. That sounds like it's worth a pretty decent amount, but the thing is, I can't take that to a bank and cash that in. It never leaves the Steam ecosystem. Therefore, there is no material value to it.
So
That
basically, they're
was
saying
the
because it's store credit and not physical cash.
and that's the catch on there is you were going to CS:GO Lotto's website with those two fucking unethical bastards. Again, ethics versus legality. You were paying money gambling. It called it a lotto, which is gambling. You were gambling, getting these skins that had a numerical value attached to them that just wasn't material and therefore not legally gambling. That was the
Basically,
fucking
it's fine as
loophole.
long as you can't cash out.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, and now that's even aside from the whole unethical behavior of the two guys running the site that were not disclosing their affiliation. That's a completely different topic on there of ethics. The ethics of it being considered not gambling and therefore not regulated as such. These YouTubers are like CS:GO. Yeah, you have a lot of your Russians that are rushing B, right? But you also have a lot of kids that are playing these video games, or young
Mhm.
adults. There's a reason why there is a minimum age requirement on gambling. The idea is that your brain, or at least most of your personality, is supposed to be done developing, and therefore you can approach it in a more logical fashion. You can say,
Speaking of kids too, it's because this has hit me with my kids. Um, when they see these YouTubers, they see all the shit they unlock with all these loot boxes and shit. Oh, that's cool. I want to do that. Like my son,
"Yep,
he watches Minecraft videos, and all he wants to do is remake the shit that he sees in Minecraft in creative mode, or he plays Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. He sees people on YouTube. He sees all the unlocks they get. He wants to. Oh, well, they got them out of loot boxes because they have a ton of loot boxes in there.
yep,
He has on multiple occasions tried to trick me into buying him loot boxes. At least on the Xbox One, that's where we had it. He would just come up to where it stops me for the password, and it's like when you have kids trying to manipulate their parents to buy them this way because you don't see what he was trying to buy. It just stopped you at the password. And he says, "Oh, put your password in." I would no. Let's look at why I'm putting my password in.
yeah,
Because he
exactly."
tried to get me to buy $150 worth of loot boxes.
And here's the thing: is that I don't blame the kid there. Obviously, that's that
No, he was manipulated. Totally.
he was being manipulated by what constitutes to me what should be legal gambling, and at least is completely fucking unethical.
Right,
at its
and it
core.
makes it worse because think about Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. Who is the target audience?
Yeah,
When
kids.
I've played it with them, I've been on there. I don't hear the voices on voice chat. Most of them ain't older than like 14.
Yeah. It's like, and the thing is that even if you have like a more mature game, like say for example Mass Effect, it is rated M. It's got fucking nudity in it. It is a mature game designed
I've yet to see
for
a titty in
adults.
Mass Effect.
Huh?
I've yet to see a bare titty in Mass Effect.
Romance Cora. And Dragon Age Inquisition, also a mature game.
Oh,
And
Inquisition, yeah, you see Sarah, just all of it's out there.
I'm pretty certain that you saw nudity with Cora's romance. But
I didn't romance Cora. I didn't even bother with
hers was the one that was actually well designed. Everybody else's was some
yeah,
variation of fade to black.
I can't think of her name. The lesbian scientist. She's in the cockpit.
Suvi.
That's what I tried to romance. To me, yes, I tried to romance her, but it didn't go through.
Yeah, she's
It like glitched.
yeah. Yeah.
It
Anyway,
never triggered.
the quote unquote scientist that believes in intelligent design. Anyway, but no. So the thing is though is that those games are mature games and they're supposed to be sold to people 17 and older. However, how many kids do you know playing freaking CSGO, playing Call of Duty, who are also M-rated games, who are 14, 15, 12 years old even? Parents buy these games for their kids as a form of parenting. You know, it's a cheap form of a babysitter. And the thing
Some of
is,
them, yeah, it's simply like you got to have the parent that's willing to check out the games too.
and you know
my kids don't like already know since I know what games are coming out.
And the thing
It's
is,
like, no, you're not playing this.
And the thing is that the onus is on the parent to monitor a game that they're buying for their kid. Yes, as far as explicit content, and that's up to the parent to decide. Is shooting somebody too explicit for my kid? Is nudity too explicit for my kid? Those kinds of things. That's a parent's decision, and that is entirely within the rights of the parent to decide for their child. Right? That is not my place to tell them what they should be deciding for their children. Where I have the problem is that the RNG loot boxes, the gambling, actually has scientifically proven effects on the brain. Gambling addictions are actually a clinical disease like alcoholism. It is not. It is not a just, oh man, you got addicted to gambling. No big deal. Just don't gamble anymore. No, it's a clinical fucking disease.
Right, and on top of that, and they're putting these things in games that are targeted to children, and their parents are here. They just don't deny their children. They don't tell their children no. They're only going to hurt their child. They're turning their children into chronic gamblers.
Yeah, and Uberman, like, if kids buy their own adult games, whatever. That's as long as they are following legal laws. If the country that they live in requires them to have valid forms of ID, or if they front the money for their parents to buy the game, that's cool. Whatever. That is still, as a legal minor, the onus is on the parent to be observing that. Wherever the money comes from, that's irrelevant. It's the parent's decision to decide if they want to allow that or not, until the child is old enough to either be emancipated or they're a legal adult. Whatever happens to be the case in that point, then the legal onus falls onto the actual person who is now an adult.
Right. The point is that if a child can buy their own adult games, that must be something that's going on legally in that country. Because in the U.S., for these adult games, you generally have to be 17.
Yeah, you have to show ID and that sort of thing. So the thing is that, and like I said, that's not really, I'm not really discussing whether or not adult content in video games should be allowed to be seen by minors, because to be honest with you, I think that that's not my viewpoint or my decision to make. It is the decision of the parent and the child for them to discuss that and figure it out among themselves. The legal aspect, it falls on the parent until the child themselves becomes an adult. Then it falls on the adult. My problem is,
you do what you want. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, like the whole, like, the starting, younger kids on gambling sooner, and like I just realized that it actually goes back like quite a ways, right?
Mm.
So I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, like one of the most like disgusting things I've seen is the Shopkins,
Mhm.
right? Which is you get the like the random little characters or whatever that you buy for your kids. But then I thought about, like trading card games where you would buy random packs of cards to gamble to get the good
They
Well,
ones.
let's.
baseball
Oh
cards.
well, let's. Oh no, no. Let's.
And then
Yeah,
back to baseball
you
cards.
got baseball cards. You have the little what is it, the bubble machines, right? Where you put a quarter in, you twist it, and you get a random thing in one of those little plastic bubble
Right,
containers, right? And of course, they show you the list of all the guys you want. And as a kid, I want that one, right?
right,
And then
These
you put
are
the coin
by.
in, and then you get something else, right?
Mhm.
right.
I remember I used to collect trading cards as a kid. I did basketball and I used to do Marvel cards. And I tried for years. I just wanted all the Jordans. I loved Michael Jordan. Wanted every Jordan I can get.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mess around. I get my allowance twice a month. I got like $20 every 2 weeks. Drop my whole allowance on basketball cards. No Jordans. 2 weeks later, no Jordans. Eventually, you just get frustrated and do something else as a kid,
Yeah.
or you get hooked on the gambling.
Or you get hooked on the gambling because your mind is still developing, and that seats it even deeper, honestly, and it makes it even more like, honestly, you become addicted to gambling without even
Hmm.
knowing it. And then the first
Hmm.
time, like, it's one of those things where you grow up, you playing games or whatever, and you're doing those little RNG type transactions. Maybe they're physical baseball cards, maybe they're in-game RNG loot boxes. You continue doing those, right? And then you're just like, whatever. You develop, you grow up, and you are who you are. And then your buddy's like, oh man, for my bachelor party, I want to go to Vegas. And you're like, sweet, let's go to Vegas. And then you fucking lose your house because you didn't realize that you were addicted to gambling, right?
Right.
Like
Should have went for the titties. Went for the
yeah.
titties and the wings.
And that's the thing is that they don't realize that they have been trained from childhood to be addicted to gambling, and it's kind of to me that's where the ethics comes in, right?
Hmm.
There's a reason why gambling is illegal for people that are under, I believe, 21 is what Las Vegas's gambling laws are, and
Hmm.
for or Native American casinos, I'm pretty certain it's the same for most states. It's either 18 or
And
21.
thinking about that actually kind of triggered something else in my head too. Is it not even, and maybe it's just America and the way they're conditioning us anyway. We are also conditioned to spend, spend, spend.
Yeah.
Like everything is spend, spend, spend. It's okay if you got the money and it's there, you can't take it with you. Spend, spend, spend. We don't teach financial responsibility very well.
Oh, not
We don't
no.
teach, consumer ethics very well. We just, we like, but I
That
mean, if we did that, people would have been, taken aback to gaming. And I keep making this complaint. PS3 owners, when they were told they had to pay for the PS4 online, should have been outraged because for the PS2 and the PS3, they had online for free. Well, you had to buy the adapter for the PS2,
Mhm.
but they should have been outraged. They're okay.
So
The Nintendo Switch owners, they kind of complained a little bit. They said, "Oh, well, if it's cheap enough, oh, it's $20. Okay."
so the thing is that now there as kind of someone who's developing into a big consumer advocate, I kind of find there is a systemic problem, very much so, on the lack of consumer ethics, or people that don't even understand that there are consumer ethics that they should be following. And a lot of that is, unfortunately, they don't even know that they exist because what they've been done from very early age, they've been manipulated by the concept of brand marketing. You're
Hmm.
not buying something for what that something offers. You're buying something for what that brand is selling you. Like, for example, the
Right. We
iPhone
don't
Apple
buy shoes. We
craze.
buy Jordans
Yeah, you don't buy shoes, you buy Jordans. You don't buy a phone, you buy an
and
iPhone.
iPhone.
You're
It's the
and
reason why they could put $1,000 iPhone out there, and people said that's ridiculous. I put a tweet out, and people were damage controlling this tweet. I was like, wait, people have been telling me for years PC gaming is expensive, but y'all about to drop $2,000 on two iPhones. Explain that to me.
yeah,
And
and
people
and
damage
it
controlled it.
and that's the thing is that I what was I like I was what was the tweet I sent out about triggering fanboys? But that aside, though, that's something that a lot of people do. They're manipulated by the concept of brand marketing, where they are buying the idea of what that brand is selling rather than the physical thing that is being actually sold. When you go in and you buy Abercrombie and Fitch, or you buy FUBU, or one of those clothing
Is
labels.
FUBU still around?
I don't know. That's something at least that I always I don't even know if Abercrombie and Fitch is still around. The point is that those two brands have a distinctly different brand idea that they're selling, right? Abercrombie and Fitch is trying to sell let's be frankly honest, the white boy, kind of slightly upper middle class white boy, whereas FUBU was advertising more towards the inner city crowd. And it's like, that's literally, you didn't buy those clothes for what they functionally offered. You bought them for what the label meant. And it's like, that's been ingrained in our culture for a long time now as kind of a consumerist culture. The problem is that in the past, people actually, they didn't have this mistaken loyalty to a brand. They would say, oh, this year Chevy has the best truck. Well, next year Ford has the best truck. I'm going to buy Ford. And they had no problem with that because they just wanted what was best and what was the best value.
And that's what's kind of fucked up. Like, you see, it's like a systemic issue, especially like, again, we talk about video games. This is how the damage control, the fanboy now comes around, because all of this comes down to identity. Like, I identify one of the most ridiculous arguments that I've heard online. I'm a console gamer. I'm just a PlayStation gamer. So you're identifying with a plastic box, like people that bought, say, a PS4 day one, and they said, oh, because I know Sony's going to come out with the games that I want to play eventually. Not because, I bought a PS4 because I just think it's a better console, which I think some people did. Or, or even better, the Xbox guys that like, I bought an Xbox because I think it's the best, I just think it's the better console. But people that bought it because they associated themselves with that brand. Yeah. That kind of shit drives me crazy.
Yeah, and
we're all ties into this.
And we're going to kind of roll this into the final thoughts here since we're about 10 minutes over. Travis, wake up. Final thoughts.
She can wait, Travis. Oh, wait, I forgot my tablet's behind. Look like he texted me checking my tablet.
Gambling is bad, guys. Gambling's bad, MK.
Okay.
Travis does such a great job at taking a lot of complicated stuff and boiling it down to the everyman perspective. Gambling's bad, K. What happens when you spend half the stream asleep?
Sleep, text, and checks.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Travis is like the biggest player here. People don't understand this. Travis texting to let his date know that, hey, we running over. I'm gonna be 10 minutes late.
Yeah, because
before that,
again, we've got an hour and 40 minutes.
A breakfast date before we started the show. So,
well, at least we're not going to the 2-hour mark. I have a clock in front of me this time. Like last time, I was like, oh no, we're almost at 11 o'clock. We haven't ran for long enough yet.
There's a reason I have the PS4 in the background, Morty. See, it says 10:41.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kev, final thoughts.
My name is Kevin. I charge banshees. Loot crates are bad, and fanboys are everywhere. And more I do this show, I realize how people become fanboys, why they're bad, and I don't think we're anything we can do to just exterminate them. It breaks my heart.
I am so glad that I have turned Kev into a cynical person. I'm not really that glad. I just like to joke because Kev,
but I still love my PS4.
See, the part that makes me laugh is that you look at a year ago, and we had already been doing this show for a year then, mind you, because we're closing in on year 2, or we're past year 2. Sorry.
Yeah, let's say we're about to start year 3.
Yeah, we're into year 3 here of doing this podcast, and even a year ago, Kev was like, he would be saying, I'm a big insert this fanboy, like I'm a big fanboy of this. The big one, of course, was
you generally called me a fanboy. I the only thing I said I was a fanboy of was Mass Effect, And you
And
know what made me realize I wasn't?
I'm getting there.
But when I heard things like Bioware Follower trying to explain to me why I'm wrong about Mass Effect Andromeda being a bad game.
And that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
I saw shit like, huh? No, I didn't like it. Like, no. I like the multiplayer.
Yeah, it's
until they added fuck shit to it.
Until patch 1.09, and then I just literally just pissed all over that game. Yeah, so yeah, I think I was trying to just kind of give give people perspective from a group.
I'm giving perspective too. I bought Destiny 2 on console instead of PC. Well, one, I got it for $3 because I traded in other games. And two, because of DLC, because I plan on buying the DLC. I actually don't hate DLC.
And
or season passes.
based on Destiny 1, chances are that PlayStation's the only one that's actually going to ever get it.
I mean, they'll pull shit out of the Xbox version.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's going to fly on PC. PC guys will wait, a month or so, to get DLC. They don't care about that. But if they actually buy the DLC.
Yep.
Which is why I didn't buy it. I'm like, I know I'll probably want to play this for, at least the year.
Yeah.
I can't do that on PC because they're not going to buy the damn DLC.
Not to cut you off, Kev, but you're starting to wander off into the tall grass again, talking about PS4 fanboys. In any case,
PS4 fanboys. I was talking about broken up communities due to people trying to get exorbitant amounts of money from us.
Yes.
There you go.
So as Travis so eloquently summed it up, loot boxes are bad. Okay.
No.
Tall grass.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is that they're selling. Even if it's just cosmetic only. If you are paying money, real money, for a random chance at something in a video game, not good, guys. And it's not something you should financially support. So that's my call to action.
Gambling.
Stop paying the money. Stop being a whale or a dolphin for corporations to make more money off of. You're not supporting development, but mind you, keep this in mind. When you pay into RNG loot boxes, you are not supporting the developers. You're supporting the publisher. And that's something I hear a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm just supporting development. No, you're not. You're supporting the publisher. You're buying the executive publisher guy a new fucking Mercedes. That's what you're doing. You're not making it so they hire on more developers and can make cooler shit. No, they're gonna still lay off 100 developers.
From my boat.
Yeah. So in any case, that's kind of the moral of the story here. Stop supporting it, and then they will change. They will put in better, more ethical practices because they'll realize that RNG loot boxes are no longer profitable. So that's kind of my final thought on there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get signed off here, guys. Obviously, if you want to chat with us on the off weeks on there, you can join our Discord server on here. There's also links down below to follow all of us for all the fancy stuff on there. So we're going to go get ahead and get signed out this week, guys. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Xaiphen will be back this time and not swimming because hopefully it won't be 90 degrees there. It's fucking October already. Come on now.
I'm going to go charge some banshees too.
Yes.
That was my job previously. Don't even joke.
Oh, what was it?
Morty remembers the crazy vanguard I used to be.
I think we've all listen, you don't know Crazy Vanguard until you get me on the Slayer where I'm fucking charging and hacking up a fucking phantom with a sword.
Morty used to charge phantoms, so
I charge phantoms. Like you want to talk about crazy?
The phantoms will get you mid-charge.
Yeah.
That's the one thing
you
I
won't
would
even connect. You will connect, and that sword will be in your ass.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is that I would charge them and then hack them up with the sword afterwards.
I've had phantoms
perspective
pull me back from a charge. Like
I only charge banshees.
Bad times.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, I think it's arguably superior to be a phantom charger than a banshee charger. Banshees are easy to charge. You can really dodge away from them quickly. It's like charging an Atlas or charging any of those other boss characters.
As long as they're not charged up to grab you.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
You can
Well,
manipulate the hell out of that.
You're being way too safe. You're both being way too safe, pussies.
No, listen. Here's what you really need to charge. You need to charge some turrets. Charge them engineer turrets.
The charger. That's the problem.
Charge
I've
them
done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I can do that as well with my Slayer. I have no problem with that. Charge them with my Slayer. They start like shooting me and all that stuff while I'm hacking away, and I just dodge back, dodge forward, and charge them again. Boom. Anyway,
Bitch.
I'm actually gonna go ahead and end the stream now. We'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. Have fun, and then good stuff.